Getting into a new hobby is great, and a stepping stone for enjoyment of the hobby is understanding the language used. Sometimes it can feel like studying for an exam or a trial and error process based on learning through context. As a new player myself, I've been watching lots of videos and reading lots of forum posts and wanted to share some of the terms or abbreviations I've seen that may help other new players understand hobby conversations a little better. Real quick, I want to clarify that I'll be focusing on things that are or could be relevant to the newest generation, Beyblade X, and not diving into all the previous generation specific abbreviations or terms I've found while learning so far. Let's start with a basic foundation through a group of letters and numbers that you're going to be seeing constantly in this generation of Beyblade. These are the descriptors you'll see on the boxes for each Beyblade, like 360F on Dransword. Breaking this down, the 3 stands for the number of protrusions sticking out of the ratchet. Currently there are 3 or 4 as options. The 60 stands for the height of the ratchet, of which 60 and 80 are available right now. And finally the F stands for flat, which is the bit type used, a very diverse category, as we have F for flat, B for ball, T for tapered, N for needle, HN for high needle, and coming soon is LF for low flat in an upcoming release. To finish this set of descriptors off, in Discord channels I've started seeing people just use the initials for the blade they're using in their setups. So DS for Dransword, KS for Knight Shield, WA for Wizard Arrow, and so on. So if you see someone say they're running a KS380N, you would know that it's a Knight Shield blade, a size 80 ratchet with 3 protrusions, and a needle bit. Moving on to something a little less intuitive, we have the term awakened. An awakened Beyblade has parts that have naturally worn down through regular use that change or alter its performance. This is a really interesting aspect to me. Finding that Goldilocks zone of wear for performance on certain pieces adds another layer to the meta. It's really important to mention here that some levels of wear can be considered illegal for events, so absolutely be sure to check the rules or with your organizer to confirm. We're still so early on in this generation that I haven't really seen much about awakened parts yet, but it's something to be aware of should you start seeing the term around. Jumping to an abbreviation for the next one, LAD stands for life after death, which is the movement a Beyblade has after it has stopped spinning on its bit and is instead rolling on its blade. In those matches where it comes down to the wire and it's a split-second decision that decides who wins, life after death comes into play. While this may not be as important for the aggressive attack style this generation appears to be promoting so far, if you're playing the long game with a stamina or defense Beyblade and are in a mirror match of sorts, this is something to be keeping in mind. Another set of abbreviations that I see relatively often are for the term weight distribution. I typically see OWD and IWD the most. These stand for outer weight distribution and inner weight distribution. As the names imply, they have to do with where the weight of your Beyblade is focused. This is important because it will affect how the Beyblade moves and can affect how your Beyblade reacts to hitting and being hit by other Beyblades. I mentioned that I see OWD and IWD the most often, but I've also seen UWD, LWD, MWD, and FWD for upper, lower, middle, and focused weight distribution. All of these seem relatively straightforward to me, just referring to the location of where the majority of the weight on a Beyblade resides, but the last one, focused weight distribution, is one that I needed to read more on to confirm. As the name implies, it's focusing the weight on one point of the Beyblade, which to me sounds odd at first, but supposedly can be beneficial for some attack types. I thought at first this wouldn't be relevant to the X generation currently until I learned that Dranzer has more metal on one side of its blade than the other, so that may equate to FWD. Either way, it's something that could be more relevant in the future as well, so it's worth being aware of. Let's do some rapid fire ones. TT stands for Takara Tomy, the company that produces Beyblade toys in Japan, as opposed to Hasbro in the US, which is why if you want X generation Beyblades currently, you have to go through a store that will import them, because they're only available through Takara Tomy right now. BF stands for burst finish and OS stands for outspin, both slightly less obvious than KO standing for knockout as ways to score points, so I thought I'd add those in. WBO stands for World Beyblade Organization, a website with both forums and tournament tracking and ranking for the community. It also hosts the rules for tournaments held to the WBO standard and appears to be the main entity for community tournament organizing in North America. They do have forums for other regions, but none appear to be as active as North America. Those are just some of the terms you may encounter while watching videos or reading posts or comments in the hobby space. At least those are some of the ones that have helped me while doing so far. But I know there's still so much more for me to learn, so I'd love to know what some more experienced players would add to this list, or if I got anything incorrect, as the input and knowledge of others is really valuable to me.